Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
This year continues to be a challenging one for the federal workforce. While federal offices reopened and hundreds of thousands of federal workers went back to work after the longest shutdown in history, many say nothing is back to normal. Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis has more from an exclusive Federal News Network survey. Hi, Anastasia. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Terry.
Tell us first about how Federal News Network conducted the survey and how many people responded.
Yeah, so we conducted the survey last month, and we asked federal workers about what it has been like going back to work after this longest shutdown. We had about 1,500 people respond to this survey.
And what did folks say they were dealing with as they were trying to recover from the shutdown?
Most described the experience of returning to work as overwhelming and disorienting. They're digging out of thousands of emails. They're dealing with IT issues because devices become inactive after 30 days of non-use. They're still trying to log into certain systems. Federal workers who were furloughed said that they're trying to figure out what's going on with their projects and catch up with partners who kept working during the shutdown. Many say the experience has been confusing because there is little to no guidance from top management. But more importantly, and this is the sentiment that I got from a lot of people, is that employee morale is continuously sinking. One worker said, as if morale wasn't already non-existent, it sure is now. And workers are just saying that this has already been an extremely challenging and trying year, and the shutdown has made it even worse.
These are really emotions behind a lot of the headlines that we saw during the shutdown. How are these disruptions impacting agencies' ability to get back on track? As you say, they don't just flip a switch.
Yeah, we asked federal workers how long they think it would take them to catch up on all the work they missed during the shutdown. And almost 50% of people said it would take them more than 2 weeks to dig out of that. One employee said that their program was halted immediately and it would take more than 2 months to ramp it back up. Several people said that their agencies will most likely face budget cuts due to not being able to hit mandatory spending benchmarks, which is pretty much impossible after a 40-plus day lapse in appropriations. Some workers said that their agencies are still waiting on funds, so they can't actually start any work. And then many workers said that can you really catch up? Some of the work will just be lost. It will be just deprioritized in all this chaos. And given that there is a looming threat of another shutdown, many are just hesitant to dive back into work.
One of the other big impacts on morale certainly is pay, and a lot of folks didn't get paid during the shutdown. For those who have, how long did it take them to get their back pay?
We had about 45% of respondents say that it took them more than 7 days to receive their back pay. In previous shutdowns, it took only a couple of business days to receive their back pay. However, a lot of respondents say that they're still waiting on their back pay. One Air Force civilian at Lackland Air Force Base, for example, told me this week they received an update this Monday that the controller squadron is working to manually process over 3,000 time cards. So they're still waiting. And I had people across the federal government reach out and say that they're still waiting on their back pay 3 weeks after their shutdown was over.
That's definitely not something we're hearing from the headlines. So really appreciate getting that perspective. And as we come into the holidays, pay is just one facet of personal wellness, financial wellness, family wellness. How did the shutdown impact these respondents personally?
We had more than 50% of employees said that they experienced financial challenges during the shutdown. Nearly a third said that they struggled to pay bills. About 51% of federal workers said that they had to rely on credit cards, loans, or emergency savings to pay their bills. And we had about 14% of people who said that they were struggling with mortgage, rent, and other payments. About 10% of workers said that they needed outside assistance like food banks or relief programs. But more importantly, we had 62% of people say that the shutdown impacted their mental health. People said that they were dealing with constant dread and worry and the feeling of absolutely no protection.
Anastasia, were there responses that told you what the impact of that whole emotional situation is? Does it make people reconsider federal service?
Yeah, about 43% of workers said that this actually did make them reconsider staying in federal service. Those who were able to retire said that this solidified their decision. Those who can't retire just yet, they said that they're actively looking for a way out and that it has just become completely untenable to stay to work for their agency. Many workers who have been in the federal government for years or decades say that this has been the worst professional year of their career.
Anastasia, when you get to the bottom of all of this, did people say anything about what they really want the administration to know about how they're feeling or how their work is getting done?
One sentiment that I heard from a lot of respondents was that the shutdown was pretty cruel and petty and ultimately proved to be irrelevant to either side achieving their stated goals.
Well, that's a tough place to leave it.
Absolutely.
That's Federal News Network's Anastasia Obis. Anastasia, thank you for bringing us this information and sharing these stories with us today.
Thank you, Terry.
You can find the full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.